I'm Nazar. Welcome to this week's masterclass, where we'll be diving into farming. And instead of doing farming for, either super small or large, I decided to just do like as if you were going to start farming a neighborhood, a geographic neighborhood for real estate for 1,000 homes. And obviously, I know that some of you guys work, vertical and homes or townhomes or whatever it is, but I'm going to give you the gist of what should be done um, in farming to 1,000 people. All right, so when you do 1,000 home or door farm, I think it's important to realize more than anything, I'm sure you guys know this, but just to reiterate, that a farm is literally, the reason it's called a farm is, well, at least the reason I like to call it a farm is because it is not something where you plant in a farm setting, plant a seed, and then expect to get a fruit of that plant or the tree of that fruit or the fruit of that tree the next day. I know that in the past people have said, oh, well, you can get a farm going within 2 months or 4 months or 6 months. But I really would like to encourage all of you guys to realize that if you're going to start a farm and you can do it the right way, to put in at least 2 years into it before you start seeing some really good mature fruit that come from it. And if you're not willing and able to put in that effort into it without any expectation of any results, now, are you going to get results in the process? Absolutely, you will. But to not really expect a really good ROI until the first couple of years, then don't even start, right? Look at other pillars. There's a lot more easier ways to make money very quickly rather than farming or other than farming. So if you're going to farm, you want to make sure that you're willing to and have the capacity, the money needed set aside to be able to dedicate a couple of years to be able to really get the fruits of your labor, if you will. The cool thing is that once you do and you become a brand name within that community or that geographic area, then it's really hard to be able to get out of it unless you just stop doing the things you need to be doing. So that being said, let's get into it. We're going to do 1,000 doors. Now, I know that when most people think of farming, they think of mailers, and obviously mailing to that farm is one of the components, and we'll hash that out right away. So I had our marketing person here, Emily, thank you, Emily, putting together what it would cost to be able to print out 6.5 by 12. If you guys can imagine what that looks like, 12-inch postcard by 6.5, so it's kind of a long rectangle. That would cost $217 to print and receive in your mailbox, right, at your office or home, $217. And so if you do that twice a month, that'd be, 400, call it $50 a month just in the printing of the mailer. Now, there's two things you can do with that. One, you could either go and drop it off at those doors, and doing 1,000 doors is going to take a little bit of time. You could either mail it out using EDDM or just regular first class mail or bulk mail, or you can hire somebody to go and actually drop it off at people's doors. I've done all of it before. When I very first started, I actually went out there and would, leave it at their doorstep. Every single one of the homes that I used to farm, I got a little bit more busy and then I hired somebody to go and actually do it for me. And then I realized that with EDDM that came around, I could do all of the doors all at once, and it was very consistent. And I could trust they were going to do it, at least had hope that they would do it properly. And then I started doing it through EDDM. But again, if you can't afford it, because the printing cost is almost as much, if not more than the printing cost, then obviously there's other ways you can do it. But if you think about it, $450, and if you sweat equity for the actual like dropping it off to hit 1,000 doors for $450, I mean, that's pretty dang inexpensive relatively what we can get as far as commissions are concerned if we sell one of those properties. But like I said, doing the mailers twice a month is not going to be enough. Now, most people or some people will mail out once a month. You guys, that's not going to do diddly squat, right? The whole point of a mailer is to be able to not only educate and deliver value to them as far as content is concerned, but it's also be able to get top of mind. And you're not going to be able to get top of mind when you are out of the 365 days a year touching them 12 times a year, right? It's just not enough contact. And so up and above the mailers that you do, door knocking that community is probably one of the most skipped processes, but it's the most important process in the farming aspect of it. The reason I say that is because if you don't knock on the door and you don't get belly to belly with people, face to face with people, then it doesn't matter how many times you send a postcard to them with your beautiful shiny face on it. They're not going to know who you are, right? Again, we've talked about before that there's a big difference between people that you know and people that you don't know. And most of the time, people on a farm you don't know yet. And so you want to get to know you. And in a two-dimensional farm or a mailer that they get from you, I mean, they might be able to get a little bit of your sense of humor based on what you put on there, but at the end of the day, you're just a picture, right? And so you want to get that two-dimensional picture photo out and actually be the live person. Now, a lot of times, what people get is when they knock on the door and they're like, "Hey, do you guys get a mailer?" They're like, "You look nothing like the photo that's on this mailer here." And people will see that and you could chuckle and be like, "Yeah, that's my, yeah, I'm the uglier stepbrother or the uglier brother that came along today." But at the end of the day, like for them to be able to meet you, see you, talk to you, that's when you're gonna be able to get more of a connection. So many times in the past, I've gotten listings where they saw me at the grocery store, they saw me either at their front door or at a community event, which we'll talk about in a minute. And it's that connection plus the mailer that did it. The last listing I just closed, the commission check was $28,000. They called me because of my farming, but they truly called me because I had played once pickleball with him. You guys get that? So like we're gonna be talking about how to make those other connections, but you got to do both. You got to have that face-to-face interaction with them, and then you got to be constantly dripping online. Think about all major brands that are out there, right? Coke, Notorious, Apple, all these big brands that are out there. If they stopped advertising, like I bet you if you looked at Coke, the Coca-Cola soda brand's budget for marketing, I mean, you'll be driving down some inconspicuous highway and you'll see a massive billboard that costs, $2,000 to $5,000 with Coke brand on it in the middle of nowhere. And you think, I mean, how many of those middle of nowheres are there? Right? I mean, they spend millions and millions of dollars of advertising because if they don't and they stop, then they won't be top of mind anymore, even though they have obviously a very big brand. So mailing twice a month is a non-negotiable when it comes to actually farming and knocking on those doors. Now, again, depending on the type of neighborhoods that you farm in my experience, unless you like live in an estate type of a setting where each home is an acre to 2 acres apart, you can knock on 100 doors in 1 hour. That's been my experience. You can knock on 100 doors in 1 hour. I'm not talking about dropping off a mailer. I'm talking about actually knocking on the door, counting to 10 Mississippi, waiting to see if they come to the door. Maybe this is a small nuance, but I think it's worth mentioning. When you knock on a door, when you go to a door, if you ring the doorbell, you automatically are telling them this is a stranger at the door. Because friends don't knock or friends don't ring the doorbell. They will knock. Okay? And so make sure you knock on the door. Knock on the door, take 5 or 6 steps back, don't be a creeper, and smile. And a pro tip is lean against something. Usually if you take 5 or 6 steps back from the front door, there'll usually be a post or a wall that you can lean against. And if you lean against that wall, smile, and wait for them to answer the door and count to 10 in your head, 10 Mississippi, then that's the proper way of doing it. If within 10 seconds they don't answer the door, that's when I ring the doorbell. And if it's a Ring camera, they are probably automatically going to see you there anyway because it's going to censor and it's going to trigger a homeowner that you're there. But I'd ring the doorbell and then I start walking away. I don't wait, right? Because within 10 seconds of them door knocking, if they're not going to answer the door, even if they're there, they're not going to answer. Or if they're not there, they're not going to come to the door. I start walking. Now, if they happen to be there and they didn't hear my knock, but they heard my doorbell, they'll come to the door and they'll answer it. I'll still be walking away so I can still come back and be like, oh, hey, but I won't have wasted that time waiting an additional 10 seconds with them, right? Because I want to move on to the next house. When you knock on the door, you got to give something of value. Remember that when you're there, they're not expecting you, right? You did not have an appointment to come to their door. So no matter what it is, you're going to be interrupting their lives. Think about it from their perspective, right? Someone's at the door. They might have kids that they're wrangling or dogs, or they might be in a pissy mood, or they just got fired, or, had a bad day, or whatever it is, whatever is going on in everyone's lives, because we're all dealing with stuff. And they come to the door. What's going to be their thought process when they answer that door? I'm going to be rhetorical here. And, like, I'm assuming that you would know that they're going to be like, what? Who are you? What do you want? Right? That's kind of like, even if they don't say that and they say, hi, how can I help you? They're thinking, what the hell do you want? Why are you bugging me? And so if you come there with that mindset that, oh, you're bugging them, then you're gonna come off like, oh, I'm so sorry. I didn't mean to bug you, but don't talk like that. Right? Come confidently knowing that you are bugging them. You know you are, but you've got some really important news to give to them. And the really important news that you're going to give to them is you're going to give them some content revolving around the value of their home. Okay. Who owns crypto? Raise your hand. Any crypto owners out there? Okay. Well, if you do own crypto, today's been a good day, right? Crypto's shot up significantly today. And so I'm finally, higher than I have been in a very long time. And so if you told me, hey, did you hear what happened to crypto? And if I own crypto, I'm gonna be like, what the heck happened? Either good or bad, I want to know. If I own property and you come to my door and tell me, hey, did you hear just what happened? And by you telling me that the neighbor just door or two doors down just sold their house for $900,000, does that impact the value of my house? Absolutely. Do I want to know that? Sure. Am I looking to sell right now? I might not have any desire to sell, but do I want to know the value of my house? Absolutely. So is that good content to give me? Sure it is. And there's lots of different things you can give to them as far as valuable information at the door that either they can't get themselves or that you're providing just immediately for them. That's really going to be able to say, hey, listen, I know you're busy. I just want to let you know that your neighbor just sold their house. They sold it for $900,000. It was yada, yada square feet. And I know that when one home sells in the neighborhood, usually two or more sell right away. So I want to know if you'd had any thoughts on selling, right? I'm not going to go into the scripts with you, but you guys get the gist of what I'm saying. So knocking on those doors, if you knocked on 100 doors a day, that would take you 1 little hour of your day. Then you'd be able to knock through the 10,000 doors within 2 weeks. And I personally would do that once a month. Once a month, I would hit up every single door. Now, that means that you can either hit up 1 hour a day for 2 straight weeks, or you can go every other week, however you want to slice and dice it, as long as you touch those doors once a month, right? You're actually knocking on the door. Let's get deeper. 4 events a year. You have to do 4 events a year, and ideally specifically for that neighborhood and that community. You got to know the demographic of that neighborhood, right? Are they all executive level, no kids, couple of dogs, like just business guys? Are they like family? It's just all about young, small families? Are they all old and retired? Is there a whole mixed bag of all of them? Like, you got to know your neighborhood. And by knowing the neighborhood, then you're going to have a really good idea of what things they would enjoy doing. Is it going to be more of a, come and get, wine and cheese and just hang out, that type of a, jazz music playing in the background type of party that you're going to host? Or is it going to be bounce houses and stuff like that? Or is it going to be learn how to retire, or, if you are retired, whatever bingo night, whatever you plan on doing, you need to do 4 events a year in that farm. And they need to be spelled out. They need to be in those mailers that you do well in advance, letting them know of the events that you're doing so they can plan for it and register for it. And that's just another touch that you're going to have and being able to connect with them. One of our mailers that we do, and one of the events that we do in our team, is a picnic in the park event, right? You guys all know the picnic in the park. I've taken so many listings after the fact when they see me at their door, after they've seen me at that community event. You guys, it's so critical. And you guys think, oh, I'm just there, just wasting time. No, you are allowing yourself to be basically a human billboard and letting people interact with you. And how they interact with you, I literally have had people list with me because I face painted a butterfly on their daughter's face. Right? Like, it is super critical and important for you to be able to make connections with not only them, but their animals and their children, right? That's the easiest way to melt a parent's heart, is if you, like, give their children or their fur babies some love and attention. And so connecting with them that way is going to be super, super critical. And it's just going to make that connection. Oh yeah, he was nice to my kid, right? Most people ignore my kids. He was nice, or she was nice to my, dog or whatever. making those connections again, just making those points of contact. And then you go knock on the door again and they answer the door like, oh yeah, hey Shauna, how's it going? And then you start building that relationship with them. Okay. And it's not only about them, it's about the people that they know, about people that want to move into our community, right? As a buyer, not necessarily a seller. Okay, this is the step that most people will do some of these things, but this next step I'm going to tell you about, most people don't. You got to know your farm inside and out. You should know exactly how many single level homes there are. Real quick, Brian, do you guys do more vertical stuff or is it more like townhomes and houses? Or is it like more high-rise apartments?
We have everything. So
Mhm.
the inner city is it's vertical, so there's no, and you have in town and out town. So
Okay. So I'm gonna pretend that we're talking about, more of the townhome or single family residence type of style right now. But you should have everything color coded, where you should have a map of all the streets in your community. And then what I would do is I would get a map big enough where you can put it on a wall in either in your office or your home office and color code every single home. And you can do it in some of these things, or some of these ways. Number one, you should know every single pool home in that community. Like every single house that has a pool, you should know it. Every single home that's a single story house compared to either 2-story or 3-story house, you should know the difference between the two. Any home that has a 3-car garage or 4-car garage, you should know the difference and you should know which homes fit that criteria. And in fact, if you want to take it to the next level, I'd get an Excel sheet and have that broken down to where you can then, say, all right, I want to show me all the homes that are above 4,000 square feet or all the homes that have larger lots, right? And you can dictate what the larger lot means to you in your neighborhood. That could be 5,000 square feet. It could be quarter of an acre. It could be half an acre, whatever it is. You want to be able to dissect those things. And so that if any buyer says, hey, I'm looking for a home that's got this and this and this and this, you can go into your farm and with a push of a button, be able to categorize which ones fit their criteria. And just because they're not listed doesn't mean that they're not for sale. Does that make any sense? Just because they're not listed doesn't mean they're not for sale. And so by knowing which homes fit the criteria, then you can go knock on those doors and be very, very specific and say, hey, my clients are looking for this and this and this and this and this, and your home fits that, but fits the criteria for them. Have you had any thoughts on selling? I don't, Shauna. So I'm sure that if you ask my friend Google, he'll tell you. But I'm sure you can find a big map somewhere that you can kind of, do all that stuff or contact title company, they can help you with it. And then you should segment your farm into people that have owned the property from 0 to 2 years, 2 to 4 years, 4 to 7 years, and 7 years plus. Then you should also segment your farm into people that are owner occupied versus non-owner occupied. And you should also segment your list of people that are between, call it, let's say on low end 25 to 40, 40 to 55, and the 55 plus age group, if you can do that. I know some states, some cities have restrictions on be able to get title information that has that data. Some people have it very easily available to them. If you can, I would decipher between those lists. So I'm just trying to read some of the things here. All right, I'll get you a question in a minute, Matt. All right, I was trying to think if there's any other ways to be able to segment that I think it's important for you to know. 2-story or okay, cool. Now imagine what you can do with that data. Imagine if you knew how many pool homes were in that community, or if there is another, something that's specific that people look for when they move into the neighborhood. What is it that they're looking for? What's really important to them, right? You should know exactly where all the parks are. What schools are in your, like what schools would your people in your farm go to? What are they rated? Is that important to them or not, right? It may not be, or it may be. You should know that information. You should also know every single home that's sold in that neighborhood in the last 6 months. And then if you want to be really good and get an A plus, you should know just at least some basic stats around the surrounding neighborhoods. Or maybe if you want to talk about the city itself, like know the city data. You guys, if you get this information and you really, really own it, and then you can talk like as if you know it without even hesitating. If you knock on a door and you tell them, hey, yada, yada, and your neighbor just sold their house or went under contract or whatever it might be. And they say, oh yeah, well, I don't know about, if homes are actually selling. And you can say, that's a great question. There's a lot of misconception out there in our space right now. Did you know that last month or the last 6 months or last 3 months, or last quarter or last year, whatever it is, these many homes sold, these many homes are pending right now, these many are under contract. Like if you know all that data right at your fingertips because it's in your head because you studied every single day, like how powerful that could be. Another way to be able to increase your farm is to be able to go inside every single home that's active on the market in your neighborhood or in that farm that you have. It should not be any single home that hits the market without you going inside of it and dropping off a business card there. Okay, because what happens to some percentage of those homes? They don't sell. And when they don't sell, they relist, right? And if you've been to that home, then people are gonna, those buyers or those homeowners are gonna say, hey, these 4 or 5 agents actually showed my house. So they may have a buyer for my home, so I should contact them. And you want to be able to be in part of that list of people that they potentially call back when the home does not sell. And then open houses. I know that in itself that could be its own lead pillar, but trust me, you guys, like doing open houses in your farm are absolutely critical. It's going to do a couple things for you. Number one, it's going to allow you to be able to get to know the neighbors because you're going to invite them to the open house. And you can do an open house the way it should be done. But number two, it's going to allow you to be able to plaster all kinds of billboards out, little open house signs, telling everybody in the neighborhood that you're doing an open house in that community. They're getting you mailers. If they see out their door and now they see you doing an open house in their neighborhood, what are they going to think? This girl or guy is everywhere, right? So even if it's not your listing, host that house open. But if you say, but Nazar, there's really no listings right now in my community or in the farm that I have. Well, cool. Do you know what you can do? You can get signs that's a neighborhood specialist. Just a sign that says neighborhood specialist, your name. If you want to put your picture, you can put your picture, and then go. You can plaster those in your neighborhood. Now, you want to follow any HOA rules or city ordinances that there are as far as when you can put signs up, when you have to take them down, how big they could be, where they could be placed. You want to obey all of those. But within those parameters, if you're allowed to, every single weekend, you can plaster that neighborhood, your farm, with 30, 20, 50 signs that either are pointing towards an open house you're doing. If there's not an open house, then you can be pointing nowhere, just acknowledging that you're the neighborhood specialist. Now, you can do one of two ways. You can, one, do it yourself, spend 30 minutes, get some exercise in the morning, and put those signs out, and then take them down whenever you have to. If there's no ordinance and you can do whatever you want, then I would put them up on Friday afternoon or evening, and then take them down Sunday. And so that all weekend long, while people are mostly home, they'll see your stuff. If there are ordinances, obey those ordinances. If you have to take them down every single night, then do it. Whatever it is, make sure you obey those laws, but do it every single time. And imagine, you guys, if every single weekend, either they saw a for sale sign, either they saw for open house signs pointing towards a home that you're doing as an open house, or they saw a neighborhood specialist sign, or they saw a sign that said, hey, if you're looking at the value, or if you're curious about the value of your house, scan this QR code. Or if you would like to see all the homes available for sale in this neighborhood or in the city, scan this QR code. As long as it had your same brand and logo where everyone's not going to have any doubt that that's you, you put that sign out and you do it every single weekend. So 52 weeks out of the year, you're going to have 20 to 50 signs out in this neighborhood. Imagine the power of that. Now, once you start getting listings and you start getting for sale signs posted, right? Then it even takes it even more to the next level. All right, so that's all like hard contact touch. And then we're going to take it to the next level because we're about 5 to 10 minutes left. Then you can take it digitally. If that neighborhood has a Facebook page, if it doesn't, guess what? How awesome is that? create it. Create that Facebook page for that neighborhood. Invite people to it. Be the nosy, know-it-all Sally, the realtor that knows every freaking gossip, there is. Not saying put gossip on there, but like know the ins and outs. Be the, as Tom Ferry calls it, the mayor of that community or that little town. Post everything on there. Okay, like just make sure that everyone and their mom knows everything about that Facebook group page, and then start posting things on there. Hashtag that community, hashtag that city name, and just constantly be posting. Every single week you get on there and say, hey, this is Ryan. I'm with Fiv Realty. And today, I want to talk about this, our community of whatever. And these many homes were listed. These many went pending. This is what happened. Here's what happened. Just give an update about the market. And if you want to share other stats about what happened in the community, if there's anything that happened, then post it on there as well. Okay. And then you just do that every single week. Just constantly be posting on it, constantly be posting, constantly be posting. Dang it, there's something else I had in my head and I completely forgot. Any other thoughts? Something that you feel like I've missed that you have either implemented or have heard about that you thought was a great idea that I haven't shared? Damn it, there's something else that was in my mind and I don't.
So one of the things that we did, and we're not big farmers, but before the pandemic, we actually were starting this process. But one of our big values for Living Tall is to tie our community events into a charity. So we did one event that was social distance, like right as the pandemic was coming out. And we did coffee and donuts, just put a food truck in the heart of the neighborhood. And then we had people, if they wanted to do donations. So it took the pressure off of looking at, our company as we were trying to market to them and as we were just kind of giving back. So that's all of this is great intel because I'm going to rethink how we go back and dive into this.
I think I had written it down. I forgot to mention is garage sales. Again, this could be more of a, if it works or doesn't work in your farm, but having a garage sale that you can do twice a year is a really good way to be able to just get people out, get them there, talking to one another, hosting it, taking donuts to them in the morning right before the open house gets set up. You can have everybody register for the or not open house, register for the garage sale. You can get everybody's information. You can create a map that you can put on social media. You can drive traffic to that with your signs that there's a community garage sale that's happening. And then in the morning of the garage sale, you can go and drop off donuts and water and, wish them luck with their garage sale. And then also at the end of the garage sale, be willing to go back and get a truck if you have one and pick up all the stuff that didn't sell that they want to get rid of anyway, and then take it to a charity, right? Take it to Goodwill or, whatever nonprofit that there is that you want to give it to. I know in the past we've collected shoes for children or just shoes in general for people. We've done coats, like all the different things in which, you can, just like you're saying, Brian, like include some level of charity, some level of like giving back, a canned food drive, whatever it is. The more you can get the neighborhood to connect and you can be that person that makes all those connections. Because you guys, most everybody that you live nowadays, no one talks to their neighbors, right? We're all busy. We got places to be, things to do. And so the more you can get that neighborhood kind of feel to it, the better it becomes, the stronger your connection is to them. And so if they are thinking about making a move, or even if they themselves don't, but they know somebody that does, you're going to be naturally the go-to person that they call. Any other thoughts, questions, or concerns about farming?
You hear me?
Yeah.
Hi, I'm in the classroom, or not classroom, but in the room. But anyways, so I was wanting to touch on you were talking about Facebook page and stuff like that. If creating one for the neighborhood, if there isn't one. I would also think that maybe lots of people, like 9 out of 10 people, have like Ring doorbells, on their houses. So they also have the neighbors app, and on the neighbors app, it has just a number on there, so you might want to maybe funnel them from the neighbors app, because everyone's on there, to your local, Facebook type of page that you opened up. So maybe they could put a face to it, they can start interacting and things like that. So the more times they see your face, they're going to probably want to, maybe work with you.
For sure.
Um,
I like what Tammy also said on here. She talked about tax rolls showing pre-foreclosures. I mean, you can also go to Property Radar. I don't know if you guys have ever been to that website before or not. I used to use it exclusively. I used it more than the MLS back in the day when it was Foreclosure Radar, where I did a lot of short sales with it. But Property Radar has all kinds of information on there that you can pull from. You can actually print out a map to be specific, Shauna, from there. It won't be huge, but you can get a map that you can blow up with, all being segmented. And there you can get all kinds of pre-foreclosure information and more detailed information about the property. And then lastly, I want to end with saying that, going on either, Vulcan 7 or whatever call system that you want to subscribe to, and get that farm neighborhood information and actually start calling them, right? If you don't want to be face to face, which I think you should still do, talking to them, getting their email addresses, putting them in an email database, and start mailing or emailing them as well. You can email them the digital version of the postcard that you send them. You can email them more additional, detailed data, quick little postcard, or, a little video that you can send through BombBomb, whatever it is. Just any additional touches that you can make on a regular basis is going to allow you to be able to connect with them, allow them to connect with you. And again, you cannot force anybody to sell the property, but when they are ready, right, or they're having thoughts of getting ready to do it, then you're going to be naturally the go-to person that they call and say, hey, come list my house, or you at least be in the running of being interviewed for the job of selling a home.
Hey, Nazar, I was going to just say real quick, we do a good bit of office events, but this is making me think that some of those that have a really good turnout for our community here where our office is would be a great idea to just implement there. Like we do snow cone event at the end of the year with a truck for getting out of school. So it'd be something to do there. And then, we do a pumpkin patch, but instead of just focusing on our office, I think it's actually making me think that we need to do that in the area we farm, which we have not been.
Maybe I should let them.
Yeah, the more you can get them, I mean, obviously we love people when they come to our office. So when we do our pumpkin giveaways or pumpkin pie giveaways and things like that, we'd like them to come to our office so they feel comfortable coming to our place and they know where we're at. But at the same time, doing it within that farm and being very, very just, doing it at the local park or whatever it is. We've done several years Easter egg hunts during Easter, and like people just eat that up, right? Like people just love that stuff. I remember during the winter months, we used to have this winter wonderland where the city would do, and we would participate in it. And we used to get when Frozen first came out, we had Olaf and Elsa on there. We had a big old costume of Olaf that my son, dressed up in, and he was like dancing and serving hot chocolate, like just any stuff that you can do to be able to get your face in front of more and more people over and over and over again is the key. A one-time thing is not going to be enough. It's not going to cut it. It's going to be constantly seeing your face over and over and over and over and over again until they freaking either move or they buy or sell through you. That's kind of the gist of what you want to happen. All right. Thank you for being on here. Any other thoughts or questions, post them below, or, reach out to me if you have any more detailed, specific questions to your farm. If you guys are doing a more vertical farm, if you're in that type of an area, I mean, I think that could become so much easier. You're limited in certain things you can do, but then there's more opportunity to be able to connect with them, by either, I don't know if you can join a board unless you are actually in the building or not. I don't know. Again, I've never lived in that type of an environment before, but I would imagine that there are some ways in which you could really own that building and not let any other agents, have a chance of being there just because you just market the crap out of it. So, all right, guys, I hope that you take this and don't say, oh, that's really cool, and then do nothing with it. I remember talking to, Brian, I swear it was just last week, and I was like, hey, Mike, I've got some money, I'd like to invest. He's like, yeah, okay, here's what you do. And like, he literally told me play by play of what crypto to buy, when to buy it, and how to buy it. Well, I know how to buy, but what to buy, when to buy it. And I was like, okay, that's cool. And I didn't. And like, I'm so pissed this morning. So don't be that person that doesn't go out and knock on the door because you have all the best of intentions, but you don't do it. And don't half-ass it either, right? Because if you're not going to, because everything I've shared with you, it's a lot of energy. It takes a lot of time, right? If you either half-ass it or you're just not really committed to it, don't do it. Spend your time and energy doing other things. But if you do this, I promise you, it's like literally planting a fruit tree where year over year, it's producing fruit for you, producing money and income, and you'll love it. So, all right, guys, have an awesome Thursday. Have a great weekend. If you guys have any other questions, reach out to me directly. Talk to you guys next week. Bye.